And in edit mode, you'll notice these three squares here. One of them is vertex, the other one is edge, one of them is face. So what I really would like to do is take the edge, and I take one edge, click on move, and then just stretch it as much as you want. Take this edge, stretch it up, take this edge, stretch it down. Okay, so we're now in edit mode. Just be careful that we are in edit mode. So if I look at this, yeah, it needs to be longer. So I'm just gonna make it like really big. It doesn't matter, you know, just make it bigger than the surface. And then if you want to move it all, go back to the object mode, go back to move, and grab from the axis, you know, don't grab it like freely, just grab it from the x-axis and move it. Grab it from the y-axis or x-axis, whatever that is, and just move it in the other directions. Okay, so hopefully you are doing something like this. Okay, so since I'm in object mode, I can select this. I can do Control-C and Control-V to make a copy of it. So Control-C, Control-V. I know people who know how to use Blender are laughing at me, but that's okay. It's absolutely fine. I'm going to do another one like in the other direction. So Control-C, Control-V. I'm going to do the rotate. Where is the rotate here? See, where is my rotate? Okay, so control, whatever, let's say like this. Yeah, that's 90 degrees here. I'm gonna move it. Okay, fine, I'll move it, put it somewhere here. Control-C, Control-V again. Move another one over here. You know, maybe that's my simple plan. That's absolutely fine. Maybe take this one, move it a little bit over. So there'll be like a corridor in the middle in some rooms. Okay. So let's assume that's going to be your design. Just make sure everything is intersecting nicely. That's absolutely fine. Okay, we're done with modeling, hopefully. So let's say this is our plan. Okay, so we are now going to move to step 3, which is to create locator objects with the space names and custom properties. So I'm going to switch over to wireframe so that I can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to go ahead to viewport shading here and click on this one. And so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going to create another little cube somewhere, and that's way too big. So I'm going to go ahead and change it to be maybe 0.5, well, maybe 0.8. Let's see, just something that sits nicely, like almost like a piece of furniture in your room. Okay, and that you can see nicely. So there it is. Get rid of this. All right, so that's a room. Make sure that it sits like right in the middle, you know, at least in the height, right in the middle of the space, like it's hovering somewhere. All right, so what are we going to do with this? We're going to add a custom property to it. So keep it selected and then open up here. Let's get rid of this. Okay, and hopefully you'll see that it is cube 001. And click on this orange object properties icon. You know, it's a square with like little corners around it. And scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see something called custom properties. So open up custom properties here, and let's go ahead and add a new custom property. So again, when you click add, scroll again, and you'll see that there is something called prop. The default is that it's the number 1, but we can change that, we can edit it. So we're going to go ahead and edit this. And the property name, please call it name lowercase. All right. And then for the property value, you need to start by the spaces that you are interested in and choose one of them. Just choose the first one for those. And we'll copy and paste, and then we'll change the value of it. But basically, they need to be spelled exactly like you see here. So I'm going to get started. I'm going to say this is called entrance. And the default value, I don't think it matters, but I don't like that there's a number and this one is text. So I'm going to just call that also entrance and click OK. And also, before I move on, I'm going to change its name from cube 001 to entrance as well. Not that I use it, but it's nice to be able to see it in the list because you will be able to select it later on. So now this is called entrance. You can see here it's called entrance. It has a custom value called name, and the value is entrance. Fantastic. So I can take it. Can I select it? And place it where the entrance should be. So let me maybe look at it in plan and say, okay, so here's plan. So fine. So let's say we move it over here. This is the entrance. Perfect. So I enter from here, like entrance hallway of some sort. I'm going to copy and paste it and move it over here. And this is going to be called, let's say, dining room. I'll check how I spell dining room. So with an uppercase R. Okay, so I'm going to change this copy, make sure that I'm using the copy. Sometimes, yeah, see, when you copy paste, sometimes the original keeps selected. I think this is a bug in Blender, or I'm doing something wrong. I don't know. But I noticed that I need to deselect and reselect for it to actually select entrance 001. It shouldn't say entrance. It should say 001. So let's change that to dining room. Again, I'm trying to be careful with the spelling. And go down to the custom properties. I'm not just going to change it here. You could, but I'm going to actually re-edit it because I also want to change the default value. So I do dining room here and dining room here. And click OK. All right, so it's a little bit cumbersome, but we get started that way. All right, so let's repeat this process. I'll talk through it, but hopefully, as I said, you now know what to do. You need to place these cubes in every room, make sure they're named correctly by the name of the room, and have a custom property, which is the name of the room. So I'll go over here, deselect, select again. This is dining room 001. I'm going to call that living room. Okay. It should be kitchen. Let's edit it. Okay. This one will be bathroom 1. Okay. And next to it will be bedroom 1. Oh. Okay. This will be, I move it over here. This will be bedroom 2. I think we can take the bathroom one and place it maybe here and change it to bathroom 2. All right. Right. So in order to see the names, what you can do is, and I should have said that from the beginning, but I forgot, but that's okay. Where is it? Where is it? You can show names. Where is that? Viewport display. Yeah, viewport display. Open up viewport display and say show name. And you'll notice that you have your names. And that's why it's good to name them, because this is not the custom property. This is the actual name, but as long as you keep both of them synchronized, you should be okay. Name and name, okay? And they will always be available to you. So the last thing we need to do is make the doors. So again, I'm going to create a new cube. Move this out of the way. So add mesh cube. I will edit it. Look at the faces. I'm clicking on the face sub-object here. Take a face. You need to click on the little dots in order to select the face. And you can then move them in a certain way. We're not going to be accurate like in terms of the width of the door, but let's make something that looks like, you know, the casing of a door, a little bit thicker than the wall, obviously. So all we need is a, you know, something like this. In terms of the elevation, yeah, I mean, maybe we'll take it a little bit longer like this, if you want. Just be careful with it, you know, that it is, you know, let's do like an orthographic thing. That seems okay. As long as it is like higher than the floor and lower than the ceiling, maybe we'll move it a little bit down, a little bit like this. Okay, so place doors where you would like them to be. So I'm going to just simply, and I'm going to change the name of it immediately to door. But that's the only time you need to change it. The other ones will be door 001, 002, which is absolutely fine. And go ahead and place those doors where you would like to have openings. So obviously, I would like an opening. You know, just make sure. Maybe you should work in plan here. It's rotated. Move it. So just make one at 90 degrees, one at horizontal. So this door maybe should be here. As long as it intersects the line, it's absolutely fine. So from the entrance to the dining room, from the entrance to this hallway in the middle, we'll just go over here. And also from the hallway to maybe this bathroom. What else? Maybe not to this bathroom, because that's the main kind of bathroom. Maybe whatever. Oh, I can't get to the bedroom unless I go through a bathroom. That's kind of weird, but that's all right. And as I said, bad plan, but that's all right. And what else? From bathroom to, let's make sure we can at least get to the bedroom. All right. So as long as you have these doors, you know, between spaces, we should be fine. I think I'm missing one, which is we need to be able to get from the entrance to this hallway. This hallway should go to everything. All right. Fine. So now we can get started, I believe, on the first chunk. Let's go ahead. So we are on, we finished step 4, the custom attributes. So now we are on, we finished step 5, So now we're going to get the actual building envelope. It might be good time for you to save your file. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'll call it live. How are we doing on time? We are quite behind, unfortunately, but that's okay. We'll catch up. I will take a break in at 5 o'clock. I think we'll stop. All right, but these should go really quick, by the way. Let me just quickly check the chat. Is it possibly in the Excel you have used dining room, living room, not dining room, living room? Will that not break the script? It will, but I thought, okay, what did I do in the Excel spreadsheet? I might have misspelled them. I used living room uppercase R, dining room uppercase R. What am I doing here? No, dining room is uppercase R and living room uppercase R. So Neil, please check, as long as you're spelling them the same, you should be fine. It looks like I've spelled them the same way. Maybe, are you talking about the custom attributes? Maybe let me just quickly check the custom attributes of this one. What did I do here? No, dining room is uppercase R. So I think I am okay. And living room uppercase R. Is it possible to randomly assign room names to cells without the use of the object? Same for apertures. Randomly assign room names. You have to write a script. Yes, you can. I mean, you can say, give me all the cells of the cell complex. Let's do something called space 001 to count them. Let's say you have 8 cells or 9 cells. You say, okay, let me call one from space 001 to space 009. And then make a dictionary and assign that dictionary to the space. Yeah, you can absolutely do that. And that string you can randomize it if you want to randomize it. But what this does is that it disassociates the room name from the script, so that I can change the location of the room name, and all of a sudden, this cell in the cell complex will acquire that room name. So it makes it more interactive rather than scripted all the way through. That's the whole idea, is that you can change your mind and say, how about if I put the dining room up here and put the living rooms there? Would I satisfy the adjacency matrix a little bit better? Right, so cool. All right, so step number 6. We are on step number 6, getting the building envelope. So you go to add, you go to scene, and you go to get objects in light. It's called objects in light. I think so. No, wait, yeah. No, maybe not. No, wait. Am I doing another one? Get objects data. Yeah, I used get objects. Any of those two, but that's fine. Let's get objects data. Right. So add, scene, get objects data. So where is the building envelope? The building envelope is this one, this big one. It's called cube. We can change the name of it. So we can call it, building envelope. And we just simply say get selection. So it shows up here. Here's building envelope. And it has its vertices, edges, and polygons. So you might have, most of the objects might have moved, right? You've created them at 0, 0, 0, but then we use move and rotate. That is not reflected in the actual coordinates of the object. It's reflected in the matrix. It's a transformation matrix that gets applied to the vertices in order to move it. So there is a matrix here that we need to take care of or to apply it. So there is something called, matrix apply. And what you do is you connect the vertices. I think I'm going to connect everything. Usually you don't have to, but I'm going to connect everything, as well as the matrix here. So connect the vertices, the edges, the polygons, and the matrix. And you get new vertices. Edges and faces are basically indices into the vertices, so they don't change, but the actual XYZ of the vertices is now the correct one. And then we have topology.byGeometry that brings the geometry into Topologic. This is the naming convention that came from Dynamo, which is create something by an input coming from something else. So it's always like by geometry. So topology, or like say cell by prism, is like create a cell by the parameters of a prism, or cell by cone, create a cell by the parameters of a cone. It's a little bit, it takes a bit of getting used to, but that's how it works. So you could do this. Obviously, I can start hunting for it here, or you can do Alt space bar and start typing topology.by geometry, and you can get it that way. But find topology by geometry and connect everything to each other. So this is now topology by geometry. We can take all of these, select them all together, and then say node, join in new frame. And I'm going to call this new frame. My screen is a bit small here. I'll get rid of it here. Click here on node, and under label, you can give it a label, and I'm going to call it get building envelope. If you're starting with the start file, you have that already, obviously, but that's fine. Okay, so that's the first one. Okay, get object data, apply the matrix, topology by geometry. Now, getting the cluster of faces, we're going to do the same thing. So what we can do is take all of this, copy paste, Control C, Control V, paste it somewhere below, change the title. So we're going to say here that this is get cutting cluster of faces. And we're going to remove the envelope, and we are going to select this, and I think it's Control, or is it Shift? Shift click on the cutting faces, and then get selection. So you should have 4 of them here. And that's all. You know, they've gotten, we have transformed them, and we have now a new topology out of them. I'll show you what these look like in a second. So these are 4 faces. So if you do a stethoscope under text, there's something called stethoscope. And take a look at topology. You'll notice that it is already a cluster. So actually, I did not need to do the step that says cluster by topologies. They all came in as a cluster. So we can skip one step. A topologic cluster is basically a grouping of topologies. You can make a cluster out of anything in topology. You can mix cells with faces, with vertices, with edges, and you say, make me a cluster out of them. And they will all be grouped in a cluster. So this is already a cluster, which is fantastic. So now we're going to go to step 8, which is to slice the building envelope with this cluster of faces. So how do we do that? There is something called Topology.Boolean. So try to find that. Again, Alt spacebar, Topology.Boolean, right here. And the actual Boolean operation is in this pull-down list. You can union things like glue them, difference, subtract one from the other, intersect them, symmetric difference, or it's called exclusive OR, like whatever is in A, not in B, whatever is in B, not in A. You can merge. So merging is different than union. Union will weld them, and anything on the inside will disappear. It'll be just the outside envelope. But merging of 2 cells will create a cell complex where the internal subdivisions remain. And then there is slice. That's what we're going to use, which is like taking an object and slicing it with those cluster of faces. Impose is like imposing an object onto another one. So the thing that's being imposed stays whole, but then the one that's being imposed on has a scoop cut out of it. It's like a ice cream scoop inside ice cream. Like, you know, you impose something on it. And then an imprint, it's the same thing, but imagine the scoop handle disappears. So it's just the imprint of what it's left, like almost like a footprint in the sand. That's what it would do. But the actual object, the actual operator goes away. So in this case, we're going to use slice. And you have to realize what is A and B. A is the thing that's being operated on, and B is the tool. So A is the actual building envelope. So we bring it from this topology. Let's just check what this topology looks like. So you can take the stethoscope and connect it here. And yep, it's a cell. Perfect. And then B is the cluster of faces. And let's check what the result is. And the result is a cell complex. That's exactly correct. All right, fantastic. So now we need to get the door objects. So again, let's go ahead and do the same thing. Let's get this cluster of faces. Oh, we need to, yeah, this is silly about Sverchok, is that if you select the frame, only the frame gets copied. So actually you have to like drag a fence to select everything. So let's copy paste that and move it over here. Change the name of it to get door objects. And let's X out all of these. And let's select the doors very carefully. It's these ones that look like this. Just make sure that you select all of them. I can select them from the list, maybe. Let's select them from the list. It's easier because they're called door. So they are all over here. So you can shift, highlight them all like this. Okay. And then click on Get Selection. And here we have our doors. Fantastic. So now we need to probably, let's take a look at what we have here. Again, I'm going to take this stethoscope. I use this like a floating way to check what I'm getting. So let's check what we have here. Yeah, it's a cluster. Perfect. So I can intersect this with the faces of the cell complex to get my new faces. So let's go ahead and do this. How do we do this? So where is my cell complex? This is my cell complex here from the Boolean operation. So what I'm going to do is get the faces of that cell complex. So there's something called topology.subtopologies. So subtopologies, you can choose what you want, like faces, edges, vertices, etc. So topology.subtopologies. And I'll change it from vertex to face and feed it the cell complex. And let's check what we get. 42 faces. These are all the internal faces of the cell complex. So again, I will use the Boolean operation. So maybe I can copy this one, copy B. And I will choose intersect here, right? If I'm not mistaken. So doors, yeah. And one thing that's wrong in the tutorial is that I'm doing cluster by topologies, but it looks like I'm getting a cluster anyway, so I don't need to do cluster by topologies. So you can ignore that. And then, sorry, no, you do need, I apologize, you do need a cluster of these faces because these are separate faces, like 42 faces. So let's make them into a cluster. So we are going to do, is that correct? Yeah, we're going to do that. Cluster by topologies. And so we get one cluster now. And then this is object A. This is object B. And we should get a cluster as a final result. So, okay, we've been working kind of blind, right? We've been working on logic, not seeing the objects on the screen, etc. Topologic by design, and maybe it's a bad design choice, but that's how we did it, doesn't draw anything to the screen until we ask it to. So we do topology.geometry. That means it's outputting now to a geometry. And then we can do like a temporal viewer or viewer, you know, whatever it is, viewer node to display it onto the screen. So now is a good time, and we're going to take a break after this, to display these things to the screen. So I'm going to look for something called topology.geometry.